Okay, so ultimately, my final review is I don't recommend it. But if you're into family films and you're a big Nicolas Cage fan, you're probably going to like it. I don't think it was done like horribly bad, but it's probably the worst Nicolas Cage film I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of them. Maybe that may not be true. I have to go back and look at the list of Nicolas Cage films. There is probably, I'm not feeling so good right now, so I had like a fever earlier and stuff like that. So, but there probably is some kind of feel good aspect to it, and there's probably some kind of family film kind of thing, even though it deals with cartel characters and CIA, and it wasn't exactly what I expected it to be. There are laughs, so you will laugh in it, and there are moments in it that are good. But as a whole film, I don't think it works. Not as a whole film from the beginning, and that's hard to do. It's not. Most films, many films fell from the beginning to the end. But I don't think it's supposed to be taken serious, and that's the thing that kind of made me a little upset, is because Being John Malkovich, which is a Spike Jonze film, was taken very serious. It was a very serious thing to be inside the head of John Malkovich, and the way that John Cusack took the seriousness, the level of it, the writing and everything. Yes, I don't think it reaches this level. I think it is a little self-indulgent. I think the performances are there is a performance there. I think they could have explored Nicolas Cage as Nicolas Cage even a little bit more. But I think the writer did sit down. I think they spent many hours writing. I think they worked, who knows how long they filmed it. I don't know if they filmed it for a year or for a half a year. But it looks like it's a big project. There are some references to it, Face Off. There's referencing other Nicolas Cage films. I'm not the biggest expert on Nicolas Cage movies. There's a mentioning of Guarding Tess, which I think I remember seeing that, and so you kind of get a Nicolas Cage nostalgia, but it just didn't meet the level that I thought it would meet. And it may be just because of the way I feel. I don't know. It could be. There's probably a lot of people that like this movie because it got a 7.1 on Internet Movie Database, and that's pretty high compared to some ratings. To me, if I see a movie on Internet Movie Database and it has a 7.1 rating or a 7 and up, then I'm expecting it to probably be a pretty good movie. I personally wouldn't have given it that rating. So I'm being hard on this one. I'm usually not this hard on movies. The writers Tom Gormican and Kevin Etten. Now, I will applaud them on the fact that it was a good idea. The idea was good. It was a very good idea. And that's what I liked about the first 30 minutes, was I enjoyed getting to watch Nicolas Cage do his Nicolas Cage and all his Nicolas Cage-ness, and all the... I don't know if it was quoting a lot of movies, which I thought it could have quoted more movies, or the lines, they could quote more stuff. I think there's one thing he does where he just gets, he just goes over the top, and I think that's the right idea. But I don't think they explored it enough on a psychological level like Spike Jonze did with Being John Malkovich. So I don't compare it to that level of movie, and that's what I was expecting. So... But as a family film, I didn't really think it was going to be that, and it kind of is a family film. Because in the end, he's running from all these bad guys, and he's got his family, and that's what counts. And in the end, it does kind of touch you. And I could probably see some people maybe sniffling up in the theater. This is probably something that I could change my mind on later on if I go back and watch a movie. You got to remember, I walked out of Pulp Fiction. And then I went back and watched it, and I really liked it. I was a big Reservoir Dogs fan, and when I saw the first, 10 minutes of Pulp Fiction, I was offended and walked out, so... Sometimes it's maybe just the way I feel. Then I went back and I think I rented it on VHS back in the day. And then I realized, okay, this is obviously an ingenious thing. And Pulp Fiction won some awards and everything. So I was wrong about that, But sometimes my expectations are different than when I go into a movie or when I see a movie. My expectations, I want to see something else, and it's not meeting those expectations. To me, I saw the writing on maybe like a soap opera kind of level, even though it probably is, and it's probably better writing than what I'm thinking. But some of the interchange and the believability of the characters, I'm just not getting. Now, the guy that played the bad cartel guy, not the guy that's like in love with Nicolas Cage, or he's a big fan of Nicolas Cage. I thought that the casting on that and everything, I thought that worked, but I thought it was too innocent, and it got to the point where it was almost, I don't want to say gay film, but it was like this guy really liked Nicolas Cage. It was like a big fan of Nicolas Cage, like a fanatic. And I got that to a point, and he was kind of innocent, but he was also supposed to be like this dangerous cartel character, which it was hard to buy. But yet he's innocent, so he's not really part of the cartel, really, because he likes Nicolas Cage and he wants a way out. So Nicolas Cage is kind of his way out of crime. Then the other guy doesn't really care about Nicolas Cage, and he is part of that evil side of life where it's all about greed and money and drugs. And you didn't really get a lot of that, too. So the danger aspect of it was kind of superficial. I mean, I didn't believe everything that I was watching. And to me, I'm a person that if you're going to get wacky like that, even like Mel Brooks stuff, even high anxiety and stuff, you still believe it. Because I mentioned Mel Brooks earlier, because it has that kind of comedy kind of feel. It's supposed to be kind of a farce, melodramatic comedy, but they have to take it to an extent where there's a believability in it, or you're just watching a superficial, I'm just being funny for funny's sake. I'm just playing around, which I liked some of that too. Another thing I wanted to say was the wall sequence did work. So that got me laughing, and they were on LSD or whatever. They're trying to climb over this wall, and some of that, I thought they could explore more of that kind of route in the movie, and exploring Nicolas Cage, like playing with Nicolas Cage more, rather than trying to bring in this domestic drama. I don't remember there was a movie that John Cusack did where he's running. I don't think I ever saw it, but he's running from the end of the world and his family's in the car. It was a John Cusack movie, and he's running. I think so. I think it is. He's running from the end of the world, and his family's like with him. I think it's John Cusack, but anyway, it's a little bit of that. The family's in the car and they're running from these evil people that are trying to kill them. So that part, I think, could have been explored in a different way. I was looking for something that was going to exploit Nicolas Cage in a weird way. That's what I was excited to see. That this somehow was going to exploit the person Nicolas Cage, and it did in a certain level. But it, like I said, I thought they didn't have to be superficial. I don't know if being John Malkovich exploited John Malkovich, but I think it did in certain ways. If you see the movie Being John Malkovich, it does exploit him in a different way than how Nicolas Cage is exploited in Massive Talent. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, I guess is what it's called. It just, okay, I'm just going to be honest with you. I mean, personally, if I was in the movie theater, I would have walked out, okay? Because there's too much lag. There was like maybe too much writing, and they needed to put it together. They needed to put the puzzle pieces together more. So I'm not gonna lie. I just don't think it just flowed, you know. But I probably would have stayed. That's what I was asking myself when I watched it when I first started. It's like, why am I staying? Why am I watching this? And it got past the part with Neil Patrick Harris, and then got into the point where he's being launched out into this. I guess it's like Brazil or wherever it's set, South America or some island or on the cliffs or something. And I asked myself, okay, why am I still watching this? You know, but I kept watching it because I wanted to see, and this might be an important part of it. And I wasn't a big fan of the film, but I think the reason why I watched it, and I watched it from the beginning to the end, is because I was wanting to see how Nicolas Cage was going to react next to, you know, the plot points, you know, because the CIA hires him to take down this big cartel thing, which they didn't plan that stuff enough. Because there should have been plans. They should have sat down, got strategic with it, so that we could really explore that. I don't think they could do that. So that was told on a superficial level. Put something on his hand that was poisonous, and he touches himself, and he passes out, and he has to walk across this. I mean, I could see writers in a room talking about this and going, "This is going to be really good." But what is that thing that they're talking about? And he touches his forehead, and so maybe it is real stuff or whatever. But I just didn't buy it. So what the problem with the movie wasn't Nicolas Cage. I thought his performance held up true. He played himself. The problem in the movie was that they presented these plot points that were just completely unrealistic. So you're sitting there going, what? And you don't really buy the supposed guy that loves Nicolas Cage. See, I think, I wouldn't say miscasting, because that guy was kind of cute. Meaning he was a cute character and teddy bear kind of, not really teddy bear, but kind of a character that's friendly, that you like. And you like the fact that he likes Nicolas Cage. The problem is that he's also sort of have maybe like he's connected to a dark side. And you don't really get that too much. It's just, to me, it just seems like they were playing, and we're talking about $40 million, because that's what they spent. They only made $39 million so far, but it'll make more. It'll exceed, and it'll end up making a profit. I guess I got to get on my high horse for 11 minutes on this, because what it boils down to is you've got $40 million, and you got this movie star that you can exploit and do all this new creative stuff, and they play it kind of safe, and it could have been something, I thought, and let me just tell you, I thought it could have been something genius. And it started off, let me tell you, it started off going in that direction. That's what kind of made me mad. So this is getting really cool. I'm going to give this a really good review. That's what I told myself in the first 30 minutes. And then it just lost me when it got into the whole CIA and they got off to Brazil, and it just got corny, just really corny. I got sick of it, kind of, and then I made myself watch more. And then Nicolas Cage would do something kind of interesting. I'm like, okay. So my suggestion is, if they were going to try to do another film where it exploited a movie star like Being John Malkovich does and Nicolas Cage, and I wouldn't say exploiting in a bad way, but it's where the movie star plays himself, well, okay, Being John Malkovich was not self-indulgent per se, because the puppeteer in that movie, Spike Jonze, finds this outlet in life that he can become John Malkovich because he's a puppeteer. I mean, that's genius stuff, genius level stuff, and the plot points work, and the whole movie works from the beginning to the end in a genius way. It's a genius movie. In this aspect, it's not that the person can become Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage is Nicolas Cage for Nicolas Cage's sake. And there's only so much of that you can take. So, it's the creativity level on it, I think the fuse kind of ran out. It's kind of like what they always say about, a good-looking actor on stage. It only lasts for like a few minutes and stuff, and then you're just not interested anymore. It's like those matinee actors or whatever, unless they're involved in the character and there's a commitment there and a conviction. And I think Nicolas Cage did good. I'm not calling him like a matinee actor that you're just watching it for the sake, but this is self-indulgence for self-indulgence sake. And in Being John Malkovich, it was not that. It was a creative adventure into a new way at looking at a movie star like John Malkovich. And I think that's what I'm comparing this film to. But it didn't pull its weight as just a movie that I would recommend. Now, I would recommend to go see Being John Malkovich, which is with John Malkovich and John Cusack, and I believe Cameron Diaz. That movie is freaking genius. Spike Jonze, genius. This one does not meet that same level. But like I said, Maybe if you're into family films or kind of corny kind of stuff, it might be something that you may end up liking. Like there's probably people out there that's like, I love this film, it's great. Yeah. To me, I like I said, I would have walked out. But look, I'm a John Malkovich fan, so that may be different. But I'm a Nicolas Cage fan too. I like Vampire's Kiss. I think I always get that one wrong. Rumblefish. I'm a big Rumblefish fan. I think he was in that. I like Leaving Las Vegas, and he's done a lot of good stuff. So, some of the movies that were referred to, I think, were referred to as they were trying to be kind of funny, like Guarding Tess. And there's also another one that Nicolas Cage did that's really good. I think is Bring Out Your Dead. So there's some good ones out there, but they didn't really refer to those good movies. Let me just put it this way. Overall, what I would say is I think it was corny. So, but I don't really give these type of reviews, but so almost corny on the point where it was boring. Almost. I mean, this was the way it was pretty bad. But it got a 7.1. I'm surprised. Maybe I watch it again another time and change my mind. I usually don't. I'm not that ambiguous whenever I recommend a movie. I'm not that ambiguous, and I usually will talk about them. But it's because I've studied movies for so long, and I study the rhythm of it. I go more on intuition when I'm talking about a movie. I try not to use a lot of technical terminology, that would lose the audience. I just don't think it was that good. Sorry, but maybe I need to watch it again. It could be one that I would want to watch again. So, see, it's ambiguous. I can't really give it a thumbs up or thumbs down. I can just say that I always just kind of say in my movie review, do I recommend it or do I not? And my answer is I don't recommend it.